What's up, guys? We are currently back in the gym where it all started. All the training of what it took to just set the world record in Stockholm started right here. So it's been about 6 months, a little bit more than 6 months since Hyrox World Championships. And that was one of the best performances of my entire life. 6 months later, with pretty much a lot of non-specific training, I was able to break the world record by over 40 seconds. It was substantial. It was a really cool experience. So what I want to talk about right now is like what I noticed happen in the race, who I am right now, what I want to be, who I want to be when I get to Hyrox World Championships in Nice, 𝗕𝗟𝗗𝗥. So first of all, I want to talk about the race itself. In Stockholm, it was a great course. It just had a good feel. It was early in the morning, which I think is a big difference changer than like midday or even afternoon, evening races. Like our World Championships was at 9 p.m. So you got to understand, like, that is difficult. I think it's harder to perform in those hours than earlier in the morning. So definitely a pretty good performance from that standpoint, just to be able to have that race available. So what I want to talk about is where I started. Like, first metric we want to look at, guys, is I was averaging about a 325K. Now, you're not going to see this in the results, but I had a team clocking me every single time. We were ranging between 323 and 328. So I'm just going to put us around 325 average. That's the fastest I've ever run. And that's great. So, what that comes out to is a 5:30 mile. That's really fast. Just to give you an example, like my cross country high school career were 5Ks are around this pace, and I was 150 pounds. Now I'm 205 pounds, and I'm doing an hour of fitness racing with all of these crazy stations with 5 miles of running compared to 3 miles of running, and we're still holding that pace at 55 pounds more weight. So something's going right. The other thing that I want to look at, guys, is where we want to go is a 3:15 pace average, which comes out to a 5:14 mile. So, that's 15 seconds off per mile and, 10 seconds off per K. Is that a substantial step up? Yes. But let me explain to you why that's going to happen if it does. So right now we're at 205 pounds. Our goal weight by race season is going to be 195. So now we're starting out a lot farther off. Like this time last year, I was at around 216 pounds. I was very heavy, not fat, but very powerful. I was training for Olympic canoeing, which I never got to. And it was very hard to kind of cut the weight off very quickly. So I have a lot more time. So what we're looking at is we've got December, January, February, March, April, May, into June. So we got 6 months right now, and we're looking at about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds a month, which is not that crazy. Like all I have to do is just start to lean off, and we've talked about this in other episodes, off of the more fatty meals, or maybe if you do a little bit of fasting early in the morning or whole days on Sundays. There's tons of different approaches to this. But just to give you guys a metric, there's a book called Racing Weight, and you can take off about 2 to 4 seconds per mile based off the weight that you're losing. And eventually there's a segment in there where there's diminishing returns. So if you think about that, if we just take off 10 pounds, you're now potentially taking off 40 seconds per mile, 20 to 40 seconds per mile. So that's exactly what we're looking at right here, where we're going to be able to take off potentially that 10 seconds per K. So, is this bro math? Yeah. But am I really good at bro math and kicking people's asses in races? Double yeah. So that's where a lot of this is coming from. That's where the metrics are coming from. I've got a new coach. We've got a new game plan. And we're just going to tackle it. Second thing I want to talk about in the Stockholm performance that was very noticeable for me was the fact that I got 3 no reps in my burpees. That's the most I've ever gotten. It's pretty much a lot. And we're talking about 5 to 7 seconds per rep. So we're talking around 15 to 21 seconds. A big factor of how I'm going to be able to change that is 1, not only be cleaner with my reps, but 2 is mobility. So the way that I do my burpees is I'm dropping down and doing kind of like a plyometric type of hop. And that tension, which I'm a very tight person, ends up making it very hard for me to get into position. I'm going to have to work mobility a lot to be able to get into better positions, hold better positions, not let my hands move, and just kick ass, all right? This is the ass kicking block right here. This is no excuses kind of shit. This is lose weight, you fat piece of crap block. So this right here is just on me for mobility. I want to hold a higher standard because I'm the guy at the front of the ship on this thing. So my apologies to anybody who's a fan and super neurotic about my burpees, but I'll do better. That's my promise. The next thing I want to talk about is I was really working. I have not done very much lunges or wall balls at all. I'm talking about probably less than 5 workouts since World Championships, including these movements. And that's a game changer. Like I didn't feel very flowy because, you know, it's almost like a golf swing. If you're not doing it for a while, it's kind of hand-eye coordination, efficiency, economy. I could definitely tell I've lost 10 to 15 seconds on my lunges in a positive direction, meaning like I could cut down very easily just by having better balance, having a cleaner step through rather than that little pause in between. So this is another section we're talking about right here that we're going to nail down. And, you know, I've got 6 months to work on it. So if you think about it, if we only take off 2 seconds per month on the lunges, we're going to get it. So that's ideal. And then the wall balls, I did a set of 70, 20, and then 10. So that is how I did my 100 rep breakdown. And, you know, for me, there's 2 ways to look at wall balls. There's speed of reps and then also the amount of breaks that you take. Amount of breaks that you take can be a gigantic factor, especially for people who are in the less fit side of things. But since we're at the front of the ship on this, you know, speed of reps ends up being a big difference. So I'm going to make sure that my speed of reps starts to really pick up and I get more efficient. And then last but not least, taking those 2 pauses that were about 5 seconds on average is about 10 seconds total. I think I had a 323 wall ball. So I should be able to, you know, bring that down to the 310s, 315s. And this is really like, I know this is 6 months, but this is it. This is the work that we have to do. We have to lose weight. So we have to really do this in the kitchen. We have to work on mobility so that we can be more efficient. And that mobility is also going to come down here and start to affect the wall balls because the tighter you are, the harder it is to get in that position. And then efficiency drills, just on these 2 bad boys right here, including the burpees, is going to make a big difference. Like, you know, losing weight up here is not going to affect my ability to move sleds or ski ergs, really. Like, I have a lot of strength still. It's not going to be something I'm terribly worried about because I'm already on the stronger end of the whole sport. But this right here, being the heaviest guy racing right now, it's a big factor. So we're finding a way to condense this whole time by losing weight. So if you look at it, if we come over here, I have a gigantic butt. I'm going to have to cut down on that bad boy. I've got big, beefy tits. I'm going to have to lean out right there. And then probably what's going to happen, unfortunately, is I'm going to get pretty skinny legs. And you know what? I do like being a big muscly guy. I've always had billboards and pictures of guys that are the biggest, most muscly dudes on the planet that have been my motivation. But I do always say this, there's nothing sexier than a world champion. So be a champion of whatever you're doing, and it just brings a magnetic pull of whatever you really want into your life. So focus on being a champion and everything else will come to you no matter the costs incurred. So guys, this is our Stockholm to Nice development. I know this is a very bare bones kind of thing, but I want you guys to be able to see something like this from the standpoint of world champion and be able to take the same exact idea of what's going on in your race and then look and reflect on yourself and be able to say, hey, this is who I am. Now, how can I get better? And if you guys noticed, I only picked a couple things. I didn't say I want to get better at everything. My main goal is to lose weight. And because of losing weight, all of these other things will likely rise. Work on some mobility and then just get a little bit more efficient. That's it. Those 3 things. And you shouldn't work on anything more than that, guys. It just gets too complicated, and the likelihood of you succeeding on a high level, the more choices you're aiming towards, is just the worst. So find your true north, get after it, and then meet me at World Championships so we can kick some ass and drink some beers afterwards. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Biceps Win Races. Check out housetraining.com if you want to get a better understanding of how we run our businesses, because we love coaching, we love teaching, we love programming, we love making people their very best, because the World Championships in Nice is going to be a cool experience. So stay tuned, guys. More coming.